Picture this. 6 months ago, someone we call Marcus decided to start delivering food through DoorDash and Uber Eats. His regular job wasn't cutting it anymore. Inflation was eating away at his purchasing power, and his credit card balance kept creeping upward. He ran the numbers and thought he had it figured out. Work 15 hours weekly after his day job at what the apps promised would be around $20, -25 per hour. That is an extra $1,000 a month, maybe more. Problem solved, right? Fast forward to today, Marcus has been grinding hard for half a year. He is exhausted, his girlfriend is frustrated because he is never around, and he missed his nephew's birthday party because surge pricing was too good to pass up. But hey, he has been depositing money every week, so he must be winning at this whole side hustle thing, right? Last week, Marcus finally sat down and did the actual math on what these 6 months really earned him. What he discovered made him want to throw his phone out the window after accounting for gas. The brutal wear and tear on his 2018 Honda that now has 15,000 extra miles on it, insurance increases, car maintenance, and all those hours he spent between deliveries just waiting and driving. To hotspots, his actual hourly rate came out to around $8.5. That is below minimum wage in his state, and that is before accounting for the taxes he owe, the promotion he didn't get at his real job because he was too exhausted to perform well, or the fact that his back now hurts constantly from all that sitting and awkward food bag handling. I am Leo, and I've spent way too much time reverse engineering the economics of the side hustle economy because something didn't add up. Everyone's talking about their side hustles. Everyone's grinding. Everyone's supposedly making bank. But when I look around, I see more people working harder than ever while somehow getting broker. If you've got a side gig that is supposed to be your ticket to financial freedom but mostly just makes you tired, stick around. What I'm about to break down will completely change how you think about trading your time for money. Here is the uncomfortable truth that the hustle culture influencers want to tell you. Most side hustles are wealth destruction machines disguised as opportunity. They not just failing to build your wealth. They actively preventing you from doing the things that would actually make you financially successful. Let me show you the math that nobody wants to talk about. The gig economy loves to advertise gross earnings. Make up to $25 per hour. Earn $1,000 your first week. These numbers are technically true in the same way that a lottery ticket is technically a potential $1 million investment. They represent the absolute best case scenario for the absolute best performers during the absolute best hours. And they completely ignore every single cost associated with generating that income. Let's break down delivery driving, since it is one of the most common side hustles. Yes, the app might show you are making $22 per hour during a Friday dinner rush. But here is what that number doesn't include. The IRS standard mileage deduction rate is currently 67 cents per mile. That is not an arbitrary number. It represents the actual cost of operating your vehicle, including gas, depreciation, maintenance, insurance, and repairs. If you're driving 30 miles to earn that $22 in an hour, you've just spent $20.1 in real vehicle costs, your actual earnings, $1.9 for that hour. But it gets worse. You are not driving every single minute. You are waiting for orders. You are driving to busy areas without a passenger. You are dealing with difficult customers. You are cleaning food spills out of your back seat at 11 p.m. When you factor in all of that unpaid time, that $22 per hour often becomes $10 -12 per hour in gross pay, which then becomes $4 -6 per hour after vehicle costs. You are literally destroying your car's value faster than you are building wealth. The freelance trap is even more insidious because the numbers look so much better on the surface. I bill $75 per hour as a freelance designer. Sounds great, right? Here's the reality for every billable hour. The average freelancer spends 1 to 2 hours on unbillable work, prospecting for clients, writing proposals that go nowhere, invoicing and chasing payments, doing revisions that weren't in the original scope, managing email communication, learning new software to stay competitive. That's $75 per hour quickly becomes $37.5 per hour when you account for unbillable time, then becomes roughly $32 per hour after the 15% self-employment tax, then becomes something like $25 -28 per hour after you pay for your own software subscriptions, equipment, workspace, and professional development. If you left a salaried position paying $60,000 per year, roughly $30 per HRA, with health insurance, paid time off, and a 401k match to freelance at $75 per hour, you took a pay cut and convinced yourself it was a raise, but the financial costs are honestly just the tip of the iceberg. The real wealth destruction happens in 3 categories that almost nobody calculates: opportunity cost, health cost, and cognitive cost. Opportunity cost is probably the biggest wealth destroyer of all. Every hour you spend on a low Return side hustle is an hour you are not spending on something that could genuinely transform your financial life. Think about it this way. If you are netting $8 per hour after expenses on your side hustle and working 15 hours per week, you are making $120 weekly. Over a year, that is about $6,240. Now imagine you took those same 780 hours annually and instead invested them in learning a genuinely valuable skill, learning to code, becoming exceptional at sales, mastering data analysis, building expertise in digital marketing, according to research from Harvard Business Review. Professionals who invested significant time in skill development saw their incomes increase by 10 to 20% over 5 years. If you are making $60,000 annually, a 15% increase is $9,000 per year, every year for the rest of your career. That is not $6,240 once. That is an extra $9,000 annually forever, compounding as you continue to advance. Over a 30-year career, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional lifetime earnings. Or what if you use those 15 hours per week to rest, recover, and show up as the absolute best version of yourself at your primary job? What if that led to better performance reviews, stronger relationships with decision makers, and positioning yourself for promotions? A single promotion that increases your salary by $10,000 per year is worth more than 2 years of grinding on a side hustle that nets you $8 per hour. The health costs are massive and chronically underestimated. Working a full-time job plus 15 to 20 hours weekly on a side hustle means you are working 55 to 60 hours per week. That means less sleep, less exercise, more stress, worse nutrition, because you don't have time to cook, and a steadily degrading quality of life. Research from the RAND Corporation found that sleep deprivation alone costs the U.S. economy over $400 billion annually in lost productivity. On an individual level, chronic sleep deprivation tanks your cognitive function, weakens your immune system, increases your risk of chronic diseases, and makes you perform worse at every single thing you do. You are not just tired, you are literally getting sick more often, thinking less clearly, and underperforming at your main job. The person who gets proper rest and performs excellently at their career will out-earn the exhausted side hustler every single time over the long term. Then there is cognitive cost, the mental bandwidth tax that nobody talks about. Human beings have limited cognitive resources each day. Every decision you make depletes that resource pool. This is well-documented research called decision fatigue. When you are managing a side hustle, you are making dozens or hundreds of additional micro-decisions daily. Which delivery should I accept? What route should I take? How should I respond to this difficult client? Where can I find my next customer? When should I work tomorrow? Each of these decisions burns mental energy that could otherwise be spent on strategic thinking about your career, creative problem solving at your main job, or researching investment opportunities that could generate passive income. The side hustler is often too mentally depleted to pursue the opportunities that would actually change their financial trajectory. They are so busy working in their life that they have zero capacity left to work on their life. Here is the cruelest part of this whole system. The people who can least afford to waste time on low-return activities are exactly the people most likely to get trapped in them. If you are working a side hustle because your primary income is enough, you are probably already exhausted, stressed, and not in an optimal mental state to objectively evaluate whether your side hustle is actually helping you or hurting you. You see money hitting your account and your brain interprets that as progress. You don't see the invisible costs accumulating in the background, the health declining, the career stagnating, the opportunities vanishing. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Not all side hustles are created equal. Leo, some genuinely do build wealth. And you are absolutely right. The critical distinction is between low-leverage side hustles that trade time for money at low rates versus high-leverage activities that build actual assets, skills, or systems. Driving for Uber, low leverage, your income is directly capped by your available hours. The rate is low and getting lower. As more drivers flood the platform, you build nothing of lasting value. The day you stop driving is the day you stop earning, and you've depleted your car in the process. Building an online course in your area of expertise, potentially high leverage. You invest significant time up front, but once it is created, it can generate income repeatedly with minimal additional effort. The same unit of work generates returns long after you've finished creating it. Starting a content platform like YouTube or a blog, potentially high-leverage individual pieces of content continue generating value long after you publish them. Your back catalog becomes an asset that works for you. Building a software product or app, potentially high leverage. If you can find product market fit, the marginal cost of serving an additional customer approaches zero. But here is what most people don't realize. High leverage opportunities require exactly what the side hustle squeeze eliminates. They require significant blocks of uninterrupted time. They require mental clarity and creative energy. They require the financial runway to wait for returns that aren't immediate. The person grinding 20 hours weekly on gig work to make rent doesn't have the bandwidth to build a high leverage asset. They stuck in low leverage work precisely because they lack the resources to pursue anything better. And the low leverage work consumes the exact resources, time and energy, that might create those better opportunities. This is the squeeze, working more to earn less, too exhausted to escape. Watching the promise of financial freedom through side hustles transform into another form of financial prison. So how do you actually evaluate whether your side hustle is building wealth or destroying it? Here's my framework first. Calculate your true hourly rate with brutal honesty. Track every single minute you spend on side hustle activities, not just the paid work but the unpaid administration, the commuting, the waiting time, the learning curve, and the recovery time. Divide your actual net income, after all expenses, not gross income, by your total hours invested. If that number is below your primary job's effective hourly rate, you are moving backward financially. You'd literally be better off working more hours at your main job or finding a better primary job. Second, audit the invisible costs. Honestly assess how your side hustle affects your sleep quality, your physical health, your relationships, your performance at your main job, and your availability for higher value opportunities. These costs are absolutely real, even though they don't appear on a balance sheet. The promotion you didn't get because you were too tired to excel. The relationship that deteriorated because you were never available. The health problem you are developing. These have enormous financial consequences. Third, apply what I call the replacement test. If you spent the same hours on skill development, strategic networking, or simple rest and recovery, would you likely see a higher return over the next 5 years? For most low-leverage side hustles, the honest answer is yes. Those 15 hours per week invested in becoming exceptionally skilled at something valuable would almost certainly generate more wealth over any reasonable time horizon. Fourth, identify your escape velocity, the point at which your side hustle transitions from low leverage, trading time for money, to high leverage, building an asset or system that generates returns beyond your direct labor. If you cannot clearly articulate a realistic path from where you are now to passive or scalable income, you are not building an asset. You are just working a second job at a lower rate than your first job. Right now, you probably see yourself as someone who is hustling, grinding, doing whatever it takes to get ahead. In our culture that celebrates busyness as a proxy for virtue and productivity, that identity feels good. But there is another way to interpret the same facts. You might be working harder than ever while building less wealth than ever, exhausting yourself on low return activities that feel productive but actually consume the exact resources you need to pursue genuinely high return opportunities. The side hustle economy promised U.S. financial freedom. For many people, it delivered financial treadmills, working harder and harder, spinning faster and faster, without actually going anywhere. The platforms take 20 to 30% of earnings. You destroy your health and your assets, and you remain exactly where you started, just more exhausted. Marcus is still delivering food through DoorDash. He is too tired to seriously research alternatives and too committed to the sunk costs. His car has lost so much value already that it feels wasteful to stop now. He tells himself he'll figure out something better next month. But next month never arrives because he is always too busy working to think strategically about how to stop working so much. The side hustle squeeze has him exactly where it wants him, generating $8.5 per HR while the platform extracts value, slowly burning through his car, his health, his relationship, and his opportunity to build something better. The answer isn't to never have a side income stream. The answer is to stop measuring your hustle by how busy you are and start measuring it by what you are actually building. Stop celebrating exhaustion as if it is an achievement. Stop confusing activity with progress. Start asking whether what you are doing today is creating assets, skills, and opportunities that will compound over time, or whether you are just running faster on a treadmill that is going nowhere. Ivy spent way too much time analyzing this stuff, so you don't have to. If this changed how you think about your side hustle or saved you from starting a wealth destroying one, smash that like button and subscribe for more content that cuts through the noise. I'll see you in the next one. I am not a financial advisor, mortgage expert, or licensed financial professional. The content on this channel represents personal opinions only and is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. Please conduct your own research and seek professional guidance before making any major financial decisions. See you next time.